Welcome everyone to Cosmic Conversation again with me, Marie.
And me, Tina.
Well, today we're going to talk about channeling. And from an explanation I've had, that channeling is a conduit. What's the word again?
Conduit.
Conduit for allowing communication between beings or
entities,
from other realms or dimensions. And channeling can be done in a trance or
conscious.
Yeah. All right, okay. So we're going to basically start off. We've got a few pointers. So what we're going to start off today is with channeling the dead.
Yeah. As in, like, mediums.
Yeah.
I get pictures, I get words. Some people get voices, sounds. Basically, it's allowing a spirit or entity or alien, even if you want to call it that, to use you as a conduit, which means to how did we explain it?
You said like a telephone line, did you, or something like that?
Yeah, it's like the go-between, like a wire is between a plug and a lamp.
Yeah, and so the wire from the plug, you got the wire.
Yeah.
And then, so the wire is the
conduit.
Yeah.
That connects one to the other.
Yeah. And it might sound quite simplistic, but the point of saying it is because some people might be listening that have never heard the word channeling before. So I think it's really good for people to have some sort of connection to know.
Yeah.
What, you know.
Mediums, there's loads about.
So how do you do it?
So, I mean, I've had, for instance, I did a boyfriend or a man friend. I did him a reading once and he was a total atheist. And for some reason, his dad came through, who I didn't know was dead. And I didn't know it was him. And I just got a picture of a bucket, a metal bucket.
A bucket?
Yep, a bucket. And then afterwards, he explained that his nickname was Bucket in the army. So that was the connection.
Now, was that the first time that you'd ever done that?
Oh, no, I've done it from a child. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'd love to know what made you know that you were somebody who could channel, or did you know that you were channeling?
Not as a child, I guess. No, I mean, he's gone into something else about, well, not ghosts, but I used to see my granddad after he died when I was about 7. But that wouldn't really be channeling as such.
Right.
Although I was probably the only one that saw him.
Yeah, I know it's another subject, but it is all connected, isn't it? It's all different things that we're going to be talking about in future podcasts.
Yeah, he wasn't talking to me to give somebody else information. And he wasn't even talking to me. It was just that I would see him and then sense things and understand. But there was no speech, really.
Well, I stopped you from talking about buckets. Sorry, I went on a tangent. So
yeah, that's an example of how channeling works. And I didn't even ask him to come in. Usually what I would do, if you're, a medium, before you see your, what's the word? Someone's paid you to do it.
Your
client,
yeah.
Call it client. You would sort of maybe go into a meditation first and ask your spirit guides, or everybody has their own way of doing it. I would ask the universe, positive vibes. I always bringing light through my head down to feel my body, and then give myself like a protective shell for love and light, and only positive entities to come through, so I don't get anything negative. And usually you don't. If you're a positive person and you are love and light yourself, you don't usually get the negative entities coming in. And it's obviously you're doing it for a client, then you would ask anybody who wants to come through attached to that client to come through when they enter the room, and that's how you would start. Sometimes it works, sometimes you don't get anything.
Yeah, because we touched on this before about Wi-Fi and all the things that have come into the world now that can stop it happening, even if you were in a place of safety and love. It might not happen, but you've got those blockages, haven't you, still?
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi, when we spoke on the last podcast, it does affect channeling. I think it's because you're working on a frequency, which we was talking about it for wealth last time, working on these frequencies that now Wi-Fi has taken over. And obviously analog TV went to digital.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another thing that gets in the way. And I think since Wi-Fi has been in existence, I've found it really, really hard to connect myself.
Well, you tried last night when I called, and you went, oh no, it's probably this and the electrical
Yeah, having a
things.
Wi-Fi on. And again, when we was talking about mantras the other day, people listen to them on YouTube through Wi-Fi. If you're going to do anything, if you're going to meditate, to do anything like this, download the videos or tutorials or step walkthroughs.
Yeah.
You know, guided meditations. Download them and then turn your Wi-Fi off, and then, you know, get back to basics.
That's a good tip, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's Wi-Fi that
That is
stops
blocking
me.
it, or
Yeah, it does.
or confuses the situation.
Yeah,
you know,
it does.
You know, well, I was going to ask you about like things. Is it anything to do with channeling about smells? Because I've smelt things. I smelt a perfume and found out it was my nan that was around me. Is that anything, you know, to do with channeling?
Maybe it's not a deliberate channeling. Like I said with the guy that when I saw the bucket, you know, I didn't ask them to come in. It was just something that happened. And that was because I did a tarot reading, and it tends to open you up. You know, I wasn't on the subject to doing anything to do with mediumship at the time, but it just happened. If your intention is to channel, I mean, yours was unintentional. You just smelt it, didn't you?
Yeah, but I was hoping to see her, to connect with her.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense of I missed her, and I wished I could be in touch with her again.
Yeah.
In some shape or form.
Yeah.
You know, when I didn't know a lot. You know, and that's why I asked if that I was unintentionally channeling.
Ah.
That's why I asked. You know, does smells?
Maybe you was. Maybe you was. I mean, if you're channeling to talk to angels, call them what you want. You know, they're entities. I don't believe in religion, so I see angels as just different interdimensional beings. You know.
Have you had any experience? Sorry, I was just going to ask you. Have you had any experiences with smells?
Yeah, I've done some gatherings
That place
at
you said?
Biggin Hill,
Where's
where we
that?
used to have the horses in Kent. It was not Army Air Force Base in during the war. And there was a helicopter crash there, and I did we did it as a group with the kids. There was a smell come through after we all sat together, and we all smelled cigars. So that was a joint thing. It wasn't just
Wow.
a personal.
How many was there? Was it
about
big?
10 of us.
Wow, and you all
We
smelt
all
it?
smelt it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm just interested.
Nobody was using me as a channel.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you see, like back in the 60s, and that they went into trances, didn't they, and channeling, and then you get all this ectoplasm stuff, and I'm not sure about that. I think that was.
You mean like being possessed, or?
Yeah.
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 You mean when
That's
people talk like in different voices? Or?
That's it. Yeah, that is still a form of channeling, but then it goes into possession, doesn't it? But it's a loud possession.
do you know of any other like cultures? Because I've watched things, read things about like spirits from ancient times within a tribe coming through to the elders and things like that. Is that is I'm trying to put it across that it's not just in the modern world, is it? This has gone on.
Oh, this has gone, since the dawn of time, I could imagine.
And would you think that people thought that whoever was channeling was basically off the rocker? Do you know what I mean?
You're talking about like in maybe the 1800s, when we had like Bedlam, the mental institution in London, wasn't it? And
I believe people were ill,
that were gifted, may have been mistaken for being nuts.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, they wouldn't know. They may not know what was happening to them.
Yeah.
That really interests me because people have been shunned, haven't they?
Yeah, and the same with like multiple personalities. Who's to say that they're not someone from the past?
Channeling all those people.
Yeah, they're just channeling, they don't realise.
And they were sensitive to it all.
Yeah.
Who knows?
No, you don't.
Who knows? But talking about like illnesses and things like that, what about channeling for healing?
Channeling for healing, I've known people to use religion or Jesus, if you believe in that. But then Jesus in other religions has been given different names, the same story. So it depends if you're a Christian or not. Personally, Jesus isn't a thing for me.
And there's gods.
There's multiple gods.
Multiple gods, yeah. And people have... I think I have to go back to when you say, like, I don't want to use the word desperate, but I just have. But for those who are in a state of mourning or loss, even over a number of years, I think this has been used, like most things, as and I'm sort of using the word devil as well, the devil's advocate. Do you get me? To say, like, I'm absolutely positive I've been done. Do you know what I mean?
Done.
Do you know what I mean? In the sense of
been conned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually witnessed one.
Oh, right.
I witnessed one. And you were actually there, weren't you?
I was, but I didn't hear it, and I was sort of blind to it.
Yeah,
I was busy.
The only reason I feel it was a con is because I know the person.
I know, and it's ego.
Do you know what? It was ego, it was attention.
Yes, attention, that's another one.
Attention to, you're ever so clever and, thank you. Do you know, and in one sense, if it makes somebody feel good, okay, but then I would argue you're not a true believer of channeling. And they used Jesus. They used the word Jesus. I can't remember the actual wording.
So Jesus, they would call upon Jesus to come through them and have healing hands. So it would be through Jesus' hands.
Through Jesus' hands,
No.
that this is happening. And the reason why we're laughing is because I know this person for many years and they are addicted to attention.
And the fake.
And the notoriety.
Yeah.
And that's not putting people down who channel.
No, and that's not putting
I'm just
people
saying,
who
be
believe
aware.
in Jesus and religion.
Yeah, no way am I
each to
putting
their
it down.
own.
Yeah. But I'm saying that I've had that experience and it hasn't left me. So do people do that in spiritualist churches?
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Oh,
actually.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Read your
You've
mind.
been to a spiritual church, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so have I. But I've been in the audience, and then I've actually got messages for people in the audience, and then I've had to go up, not onto the stage, but like the person sitting next to me. I got a message for her, and she went out to the toilet, and I had to follow her out to the toilet.
Really?
And say, look, I really feel strongly, I need to tell you this, that it's your son's birthday, isn't it? She said, yeah. She said, that he's, opened all his presents. I said, he got a pair of roller skates, didn't he? And she said, yes. And I said, well, he's going to have a fall and break his arm, but don't worry, he's going to be fine, because he's actually going to go on, and it's not a 5-minute wonder, and he's going to be great at skating. And whether he did or not, I don't know. But she said, yes, that was true. And okay, so I left after that. I've never had anyone, when I've been to spiritual church in an audience, nobody's ever picked me. I'm like, oh, please, like, I've got a nanny on the other side.
Weird,
I've got a mum.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, because I'd got a friend called Anne, and she like sort of invited me. She says, you're really interested in this, aren't you? Yeah. And she said, look, I'd like you to come along to my spiritualist church. So I did, and every time I went, there was, I felt like, is there something wrong with me?
Is it going to be you? Yeah, and then it's not, like, every week. So I gave up going.
Yeah, and maybe that wasn't the way to do it. Maybe I didn't look at it right. But there was people there who did, there was an artist who channeled and did
so
drawings.
That's like automatic writing, but
yeah, we'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And there was a lady who dealt with flowers, and that is the only time I say I wasn't picked. And the only reason I was picked is because I stood up and got her attention.
Right.
And she was asking what flowers, what's your favourite flower, and then she would draw upon that flower to give you a reading.
Yeah.
And what was it? There was another one, but mostly it was like people in the audience. Is like you've just said, people who were part of the church who went up and sort of practiced, if you want to, if it's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Sort of homing their I wouldn't say talent.
If you want to learn,
to learn,
and to do mediumship, a church, it's not as a religious church, but the one I went to, they did say a prayer at the beginning, which I didn't participate in.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you on that
each
one.
to their own, and like I said, it depends what you believe in. But it's a good place to learn, and if anybody does want a tutorial on channeling, we can do that and do a talk through.
Please put in the comments of this podcast, get in touch with us. Hopefully by this point we've got a website. But please comment with anything you want to talk to us about.
I mean, I enjoy channeling for myself, not for other people. And I like talking to aliens, interdimensional beings.
Well, before we get on to that, this episode has been sponsored by Cypress Soaps. Thank you very much, Cypress Soaps. And because we are a location podcast, I'd just like to tell you we are actually in a very small village again. It's the same village that we were in last week, but we are actually in a ancient
Greek church.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful feeling. And actually, I'm sort of, I've got a feeling of,
I could sit here and channel. I could, yeah.
Yeah, to me, there's happiness here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Not
peace. I'm feeling peace.
Yeah. Maybe
peace.
I'm not saying it correctly, but okay. My interpretation of where we're sitting is it was one of joy and happiness, and it's small.
It is tiny. Yeah, it's a small village church.
And I just think it was. To me, there's no bad here.
No.
There's no bad here. But actually, that might be a good thing to do one day.
You could sit here and do automatic writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something. Oh, yeah. That's an idea.
You had
which I'm going to get onto that, because we're jumping from one thing. I'm just trying to get to each bit so we can like delve a little bit more into it. But you said about channeling aliens. So one of our subtexts is like channeling angels and aliens.
Yeah, which could be one and the same, if you like me, because they are interdimensional beings, and who's to say they're religious or not?
Yeah, the same entities.
With that, you get colours for certain angels.
Oh.
Because they're associated with different colours, different crystals. Each angel is associated with
So hang on.
different elements.
Do you know of, off the top of your head now, because I'm asking you off the cuff,
Yeah.
do you know of, have you been involved?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I have done years ago. I did some angel workshops, and I had an experience with, I think it was Metatron, who was one of the only angels to have walked the earth. There's two of them. I can't remember the other name. And
We'll put that in the description when we come. Yeah.
I didn't know that his aura, or he's because it's interdimensional, it's not solid, is it? But he's like a crystalline figure, and I didn't know that, and I could feel it, and with my eyes closed I could see him on my hands, like through me, and I didn't know that. And then afterwards I found out that it was Metatron, and I did ask him his name, and he, she. Sometimes I don't know if they've even got sex. I don't think they have. He said his name was Metatron, and then I looked it up, and then it did say Metatron has like a crystalline experience,
Entity.
He's, when you see him, he's crystalline, and so so that confirmed to me I'm not going bonkers, and I did see him, and speak. So
Well, what has that happened again, or
no?
Did you learn stuff as well as teaching other people?
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought something to the table, like, because I think that's
Everybody has their own individual experience.
Yeah.
It's always different for every single person. How they do it, how it comes through, how long it takes. You could have
So anybody can do it?
Of course they can, yeah. I would say definitely 100% turn off your Wi-Fi. If you can find a nice place,
be
like
good
where we're
intent
in.
as well, yeah.
Always good intent. Try and give yourself that protective bubble, which I said, if you would like a tutorial on that, I can walk you through that, just so that you don't get negative entities. But really, if you're a positive person and you are, good intentions, there's no reason why anything negative should come in.
And don't be disillusioned, I think, would be a point to say. If it's not working,
if it doesn't happen first time, no.
Don't be disappointed. Don't give up.
No.
Because we're going on to, if you don't mind.
And don't try too hard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It is letting go and letting it happen.
Yeah, look,
and letting go, or anything spiritual is always letting go of the ego and letting go of the material world and just being where you are.
In that moment.
Yeah, and thinking of, it's really hard to not think of anything because you do have background noises. It's good to use headphones if you want to start out, doing it for yourself. And I always...
That's a good point, actually. I had written down to say headphones, is that a good
before
one to
you
block it all
start
out?
Trying it on your friends and relatives, get into doing it yourself.
And again, look for local groups. Look for people to talk to. I'll keep coming back to that because I think you can feel lost. I felt lost. And then I know this sounds like a Mills and Boon, but until I met you, I didn't know that I understood more than I do.
See, years ago, I never had Wi-Fi when I was young. I'm 56 now. I started out when I was about 14 years old with my first deck of Oracle cards. And that's how I started. I mean, going back to childhood and seeing ghosts, and if you want to call them that, whatever. I actually started delving into using tools when I was about 14. So, with automatic writing.
Great segue into automatic writing, because the reason why I was like being so persistent, and I think I always will, with saying, ask us, ask a local person, you know, like, or get in touch with somebody who you trust, who's into the same, you know, area of life as you, and you want to learn more. And you actually gave me like a bit of a push, a friendly push, because I'd never done automatic writing.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the book.
Oh,
That book,
yeah.
Doors to Other Worlds by Raymond Buckland.
So hang on, let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's stop for a second. What's the book got to do with anything?
So the book is called Doors to Other Worlds, and it's really good because then you're not using Wi-Fi and YouTube. You're using the old-fashioned sense of channeling.
You didn't you
Practical
say?
guide to talking to spirits.
And didn't you say you can download some of them?
Yeah, you can download the PDF for free, I believe.
Did you hear that?
On Google.
Free.
Yeah.
We'll put that
It's
in.
a really good book, and it got me on the road to doing
We can do
meditation
links for people.
and finding my spirit guide, you
Yeah.
know, contacting them. It's a really good book.
So if anybody's interested, the description of this podcast will actually put maybe links or things like that.
Yeah.
I think if there's something we haven't said, or you want something more explained more, then again, I urge you to use the comments, to get in touch, or just tell us how you feel.
Yeah, so going back to automatic writing.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you very much, Tina. I was going to give you my, like, you know, what had happened to me in the last few days. Like I say, everyone, that Tina had given me a little bit of a push, and a friendly push, which I'm glad, because I'd never really heard of it. I hadn't.
No. So
'Cause
it's a form of channeling.
Yeah, I'm the one who doesn't know a lot. I only know bits of things.
Yeah. So again, you would ask spirits, if you want to call it that, or aliens, interdimensional beings, to come through you to write messages.
Yeah, well, I remember saying as well that I had good intentions, and I didn't want to be in contact with anybody who was going to harm me or be not nice to me. I'd like to be channeling somebody who is positive.
Yeah.
So because I was little bit, you know, scared a little bit of what was going to happen. And first of all, the first time I done it, I was just putting, it was like words. And I know you asked me, was those coming in your head? And I went, no, because I was doing it with my left hand. And it was all in a, because that's not my natural writing hand.
That's exactly what you need to do, so you're not influenced. If you're right-handed, use your left. If you're left-handed, use your right hand. Put the pen in your hand, and it's best to have a huge piece of paper, because I find when it's going off the page, and it's like, you know, and then you've got to sort of force your arm to come back onto the page, because it can. I've ended up writing on the table and going on and on.
Well, that's what was happening to it. I actually put a question at the top, and I'll keep that question to myself.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. But the next time I did it, so I'd got all these words, and they just didn't mean a lot to me. And then the next time I did it, seriously, watching the telly.
Yeah.
I got the notepad. Well, I didn't have a big piece of paper. Notepad, watching the telly. And this one I will tell you, is about, you know, am I going to be able to do this, basically? Am I going to be able to channel. Sorry. And when I say be successful, I don't mean monetary things. I mean, will I be successful of like maybe getting somebody a lot? Yeah. Anyway, it was writing away, and I was like, God blimey, yeah, it's going everywhere.
Yeah.
And then when I look back, I didn't really understand what was written.
No, sometimes you don't, I guess. But it's your first time.
Yeah. And I'm deciphering, and
sometimes it's just scribbles. It's nothing. Yeah. It's nonsense.
I couldn't understand some of the words.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something I'm going to continue to do. I actually like doing that. I suppose you find your niche in the channeling genre, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might be the best for you.
Yeah, I mean, my mum died, as you know, in 2017, and I always thought I'd be able to talk to her, and I haven't really. On the odd occasion, she's come through sort of semi-awake, when you're going to sleep, and minimal speech, minimal visions, and I just think, the one person that I really want to be in touch with.
Yeah, Mum, yeah.
Yeah, it don't work, so...
Well, didn't I say to you, was it yesterday?
I can help everybody else, I can't help myself.
I think that's the case sometimes,
Yeah.
I've found that. You can be, an oracle or a channeler, and when you want it so badly, I wonder, that's why to have a group of friends or maybe contact, people who are in when I say a circle, I mean, within an organisation who may be able to help, like meditation retreats and, and things like that.
The real thing is so much better than online. If you're interested in stuff, to join a group.
I keep pushing it, don't I? Yeah. Because the
or form your own group. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought of that one. No, I'm serious. I never thought of that one. But if you do, it could be that you might need just a bit of guidance first, and then off you go. If you're positive and you've got that, like what's the word? Confidence.
Yeah.
To do it, go and do it.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Go and channel. Go and do whatever it is. Do crystals. Do chakras, everything what you want to do. But you got to know, maybe you might, not got to know, but you may need that helping hand.
You may. That book was my help.
Exactly.
I never had nobody. It was me. And it was an inner thing. So that book was my guide.
But you have helped others. You see, people have come to you. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point of joining something to get you started. Maybe you didn't go on that route.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, maybe that is a route for people to do. And tell us of your story, if we've inspired you to, get in touch with a group or start a group or learn more. What have you learnt?
Or if you've had channeling experiences, or if you are an experienced medium.
We'd love to talk to
you.
You're welcome on the podcast. Right.
So we're going to round up.
Yeah, so today we talked about channeling.
Yeah.
We went through channeling the dead, healing, angels and aliens, automatic writing, and we just touched on a little bit of fake.
I was going to say, you always, with any of our podcasts, there's always the option of
just putting
whether
my
they're
books down.
fake or not. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just want to maybe protect people, just to be aware.
Yeah.
And that's not casting a shadow over
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
If you are going to a medium, try and get references of someone that's actually, had positive reviews.
So, cosmic communication again.
Yes.
And I hope you've enjoyed this. And I'm in our little church.
It's very peaceful now.
Isn't it? And actually it's becoming sunset, isn't it? And it'll be dark soon, so we need to go home.
Yeah, because of snakes and tarantulas.
Yes.
We are in North Cyprus.
Yeah, so we need to be aware of that. And we're aware that you're listening. And thank you so much for listening.
Yes, and we hope you stick with us.
Yeah, we've got loads more to come.
Yeah.
And if there's something we're not talking about, tell us.
Yeah.
Because we want that conversation.
Yeah.
We want to have your questions, and it would just be amazing to have you on board. So
it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from Cyprus Soaps that sponsored us today. www.cyprussoaps.com. From me, Marie. I would love to be talking with you next week in a conversation with Tina.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See
Take care,
then.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.